Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is on 23rd August 2016. Now, the first article is related to the local governance in India. If you see the urban governance, there is everywhere chaos. The unity of command is missing. It is because lack of a central authority of the mayor, and in most of the cases the mayor is indirectly elected, and there are no powers to the mayor. The state governments run the cities through commissioner. So we are following a commissionerate system where the elected mayor do not have any authority and responsibility to fulfill. Because of this, the vote which we are casting and the responsibility which we are seeking and the authority which has been provided to him to fulfill the responsibilities, everywhere there is a mismatch. So in this scenario, now the democratic accountability is missing. And added to that, the state governments are bringing in many parastatals, and these parastatals are making the governance chaotic without any coordination. So in this scenario, bringing in the direct election of the mayor, will it change the situation? Yes, to an extent. If you observe London mayoral elections, Newark, everywhere the mayors are directly elected. So when they are directly elected, it brings in a sense of responsibility, and the people also can question the mayor directly about their problems. But however, either it is a direct election or indirect election, it will be useless without giving any authorities to the mayor. So that is the reason why what we can say is, so more than the election, either direct or indirect, it is the authority in the position for the position of the mayor that matters the most. So in India, the transfer of the powers to the local governments, especially urban local bodies, is of the immediate necessity. Now in this case, the problem with mayor, direct elected mayor, is there may be a conflict with regard to the council and the mayor. So it means the mayor decisions can be blocked by the council. So many of the countries are following something called mayor in council model, where it is kind of our cabinet will be functioning to make the decisions in the urban local governance. So a strong authority at the guiding the entire administration at the city that can make a big difference. The Newark is the example. So the Newark, it was with every nonsense till Mr. Bloomberg took over as the mayor. So the Bloomberg reforms in the Newark Police Department that made a big difference to the crime scene in Newark and curtailing the drug cartels in Newark. And if you come to the London mayor is called as the second prime minister. That's what is the authority possessed by him. So in this context, so what we need to tell is, yes, the transfer of power to the local bodies is the first priority. And the next is, what kind of elections have to be conducted, direct or indirect, how he has to be elected. It can be left to that particular state governments to decide. But the constitutional mechanism has to persuade the states to transfer the powers to the local bodies. Now coming to hasten a consensus. Let us see the conflict between the judiciary and executive. You know that the collegium system is functioning for the appointment of the judges to the Supreme Court and High Court for the last 2 decades. And then the National Judicial Appointments Commission was supposed to be replacing this collegium. Now, when the NJAC Act was passed, it was challenged in the Supreme Court, and the court under the judicial review quashed the legitimacy of NJAC. And then the constitutional bench headed by Justice Kehar, what it said is, so the collegium system need to be reformed and the consultation need to be made broad-based and transparent. So that's why it has invited the suggestions from the people. So in this scenario, it has asked the central government to revise the memorandum of procedure, that is MOP. So now, the central government is supposed to place the MOP, and as per the leaked documents from the Ministry of Personnel, there are certain screening committees are involved. And also, the veto rights the government wants to hold to keep the people in the national interest and security interests away from being appointed as the judges. It means if collegium recommends someone's name, so the government can hold them, saying that it is not good in the national interest or public interest to appoint them. So that's where the independence of the judiciary is getting compromised according to the judges. So, but whatever be the case, if the issue gets more delayed, both the institutions, that is executive and judiciary, they will face the public scrutiny, and they will also get that legitimacy lost, or people see both of them as the culprits. So in this case, the issue need to be solved as quick as possible, and this executive and judicial delay shall not affect the justice delivery system. So in this scenario, as quick as possible, memorandum of procedures need to be scrutinized and agreed for. Now, miles to go before we reap. So this is about PV Sindhu, who has won recently the Olympic medal. Now, yesterday I got the chance to meet Gopi and Sindhu. So what I can say is this. So we have the potential for the people to get so many medals like that. But we are missing a culture, a sporting culture. So if a small academy of Gopi Chand is able to make such a big difference, what about the right encouragement and the right environment is created in the country? So that culture is called as sporting culture. For India, the sport is a leisure activity. We don't see the business value and employment potential of the sports activity. For most of the countries, including China and Japan, the sport is a business opportunity. And that's why, for them, they are professional to the core in the sports. And if the people in the society, if they start looking the sport as a career opportunity, till then the situation will not change. Added to that, the government also has to create the right environment through development of infrastructure and the human resources for that matter. Then we can see the all-round development of the sport in the country. Now another article is related to diplomacy and the diaspora. Now, how the Indian diplomacy with regard to its diaspora has changed. Now initially, Indian government did not involve much itself with the diaspora, and supporting the diaspora against a particular country, India felt that it might spoil its relations with that country, that's why. So it left the diaspora on its own. But the situation has changed when Rajiv Gandhi became the Prime Minister. The first he started inviting the expats to take up the important position to change the economic landscape of this particular country. So the Sam Pitroda like that was invited to change the telecommunication sector in the country. Now, after that, so there are some complaints, that is red tapeism, and then to what extent government will keep its promises. There are mutual suspicion. But however, certain people have come to India, they held the important position and they played a key role in the economic transformation of the country. But the confidence of our diaspora has changed in 1987. Now, I don't remember the names of these people, but what I can say, Fiji demography is like this. In Fiji, around 50% of the population are Indian origin, and around 45 or 46% are the original habitats of the Fiji. And in 1970, Fiji became independent. Indigenous people were occupying the government initially in 1987. Indian diaspora supported Labour Party won the elections. In the coup, that government was replaced. Then Rajiv Gandhi government has stood behind that, and it has collected and garnered the international support and got the Fiji suspended from Commonwealth and brought the issue to took the issue to the United Nations. So this is how. Now, because of this, today Fiji is a stable country. And the racial integration has happened in Fiji. That is, India has played a role. And coming to, and also with regard to Sri Lanka involved with Tamil issue, and that's a disaster for India. But whatever we can say, our view towards the diaspora has rapidly changed. And after that, now the next UPA NDA governments, so the diaspora is more seen as a people who can potentially change the business activity in the country. So in this scenario, now Ministry of Overseas Affairs, because the expats revenue is one of the cornerstone for our balance of payment situation. So the BOP stability is also dependent on the remittances which we are receiving. So to take care of their needs, Ministry of Overseas Affairs was established, and after that the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Awards, Overseas Citizenship Card of India, and Persons of Indian Origin Card, all these are being provided to them. Now, though they are asking for the dual citizenship, but the government did not consider it yet. But Indian citizens who are staying abroad, for them the voting rights are being considered by the Manmohan Singh government. Now, once the Modi government has come into power, it has activated the diaspora, and it wanted to use the diaspora to spread the message of India. Because the diaspora in United States, in the Western world, and even in the Gulf, it is so strong that it can get the policy changes in their respective government. If you talk about India-US nuclear deal, India caucus in the House of Representatives was instrumental in getting this deal passed through. So, what we can say over here, so the diaspora can be a strategic advantage to India if rightly stimulated. So, now, the Gulf, it is the location which is giving the major remittances to us. But the people over here are mostly in the menial jobs, and they do not have the control over the policy over there. So in this case, as economy is falling, as oil prices are falling, the Gulf countries, as they are losing the economy, so slowly they want to send them these people back. And there is also an exploitation. And whenever there is a crisis situation, government is responding to it. So now, government of India has to make certain steps. One is, it has to maintain the database of all Indian diaspora, which country, how many people are living, so that whenever there is a crisis situation, it can handle the crisis smoothly. And once they come back, we have to provide for the rehabilitation. So further, the state and central government has to work together. Now coming to the RBI, you know that Urjit Patel has taken as the RBI governor. So in this scenario, there are certain recommendations to the Urjit Patel. Now the price inflation is going high. As the inflation is going high, the food inflation is the reason for this. So the monetary policy's greatest objective is to curtail the inflation, that is called inflation targeting. So what will be the RBI will be doing? It will be curtailing, or else it will be tightening the monetary policy. When it tightens the monetary policy, it is going to decrease the growth. When growth is decreased, the supply side will be worst affected. The supply side gets worsened. As the supply side gets worsened, it may further worsen the inflation situation. So in this case, the monetary policy alone cannot contribute to the inflation control. The fiscal policy also has to play a role. But however, keeping the monetary policy's target as inflation targeting, probably government may get a chance to evade its responsibility in the inflation control. It can rub it onto the shoulders of the RBI. And on the other hand, he has given many positive aspects. So one is, he suggested that in the RBI has to release the number of coins possible so that exchange is available. And added to that, RBI used to release the monthly magazine, which has to be continued, which is discontinued as of now. And next is, RBI as a regulator always maintains the arm's length distance with the financial sector. Because of this, India did not become vulnerable to the financial crisis as like the countries in the West. If you take the Alan Greenspan of the United States of America, he has allowed for the risky behavior in the financial sector, and he was in hand in glove, which the RBI will never allow, and it did not allow for. So that's a very good thing, and India has to continue the same. And added to that, the previous governor, Raghuram Rajan, he has started this cleaning of the balance sheets of the bank, and this exercise need to be continued. These are the suggestions to Urjit Patel. And Mr. Sisi, the Egypt president al-Sisi, he said that the Russia is ready to host the talks between Israel and Palestine. And you know that Israel is not ready to talk to Hamas. But here there is a situation. Now Gaza Strip, it is under the control of the Hamas. And then West Bank, here Palestine Authority by Mohammed Abbas is leading. So there is a conflict between this Hamas and Abbas. So Israel don't want to talk with the Hamas. And added to that, the Palestine Authority, it is defensive because Hamas is accusing the Palestine Authority to be in association with the Israel. So from 2014, the talks are suspended. Now Israel is showing interest to the talks, but there is no proper environment in the Palestine to do the same because of the conflict between Hamas and Palestine Authority. So in this scenario, what he suggests is there shall be a national consensus in the Palestine to do the same. Now, the Good Samaritan Law. You know that if you are a bystander to an accident, if you try to help the accident victim, probably you may get into legal tangle. This mindset or this thinking is the reason for many of the people not to help the accident victims. Now, in this scenario, the Good Samaritan Law, it tried to, provide the good Samaritans who are trying to help the accident victims free of these legal tangles. What they say is any statement made or affidavit made by the good Samaritans, that has to be seen as the final statement. If any statement has to be taken, it has to be taken only once, and that has to be considered as final. And without his interest, he shall not be pressed for giving witness in the court. There shall not be any civil or criminal liability against him. So these are the standard operating procedures have been devised. Now coming to the infrastructure. So now ports and inland waterways. Now the government wants to promote the inland waterways because the cost per unit of good to be shipped by the water is very less compared to the road and rail. A road is highest cost, followed by the rail, followed by the water. But we did not explore the inland waterways in India till now. So the present government wants to do the same. But no one is ready to invest in the inland waterways. That's why what the government is saying is every port has to start an associated subsidiary which can take up the inland waterways. So that's why the port will get the huge loans, subsidized loans, so which can be used for the development of inland waterways in the country. Now, Prime Minister Modi was talking to the Afghan President Mr. Ghani, and he said that India is ready to help Afghanistan to any extent to become for its prosperity and wealth. It is in the video conference on the occasion of opening of the Star Palace. And coming to Myanmar, so Myanmar said that yes, it is ready to help India on various infiltrators or else the anti-India activity it's going to curb which is being carried on its soil. You know that India has carried the hot pursuit against the Naga rebels who are belonging to NSC and Kaplong faction who have attacked the Indian army convoy in Manipur. So that has become controversial because India's just thumping after that military activity, it has led to certain heart burning in Myanmar. And after that now Myanmar again come forward and it said that it's not going to support any anti-India activity. And 3 strains of fungi are supposed to separate the lithium from the batteries. Now, the lithium batteries use is increasing and the recycling of these batteries need the treatment with heavy chemicals. So now, the 3 batteries, the 3 fungi, that is Penicillium and Aspergillus fungi, these are been identified to separate these minerals from these batteries, the lithium and cobalt. You know that the fungi produce oxalic acid and absorbic acid. So these will be used this can leach the minerals out of that particular segment. So these are going to be used in this is the most economic way to recycle the batteries. And the next is 4 people are going to get the Khel Ratna. You know that the Olympic medal winners, that is PV Sindhu and Sakshi Malik. Along with that, Deepa Karmakar, and added to that Jeetu Rai. These are the people who are going to win the Raju Khel Ratna. These are the articles for today. Thank you very much. Now, I am getting a bit tired because of various activities. I have started the mentorship program in Hyderabad, where I have to conduct every alternate day test and we have to correct the papers. Because of this overload, I am getting my videos a bit delayed, and it is not due to laziness. And occasionally I need to travel because my family stays away from here. So that's the reason why sometimes when I travel the video may get delayed. So but however, every day you get the video for sure. So try to bear with us. And if I cause any inconvenience, sorry for that. And I try to provide on time because, yeah, thank you very much. All the best.